Hey, everybody. Today I have a very special guest here named Ashley Gronberg. She was on the channel about a year ago, I think, and she has had an incredible journey in her insurance career. So today she's a veteran agent. Today she's going to be talking about how what new insurance agents should look out for when they get in the business. We're going to be giving any of you guys who are new insurance agents some, I guess, insider trading tips on how to really find a place that's going to be the best for you because it's very, very important. And Ashley has a ton of experience not only with hiring and training agents, but with looking around and trying to find what's the best fit for her and learning through her challenges that she's gone through in the industry. So Ashley, without further ado, you want to give yourself a little introduction here?
Yes, thank you, Justin. Thank you so much for having me on. We had a blast almost a year ago. And so I appreciate you asking me to get back on here. I know we've gone back and forth, but I'm excited to be here with you today and just share a little bit about my journey. But just a little bit of my background, you guys. I didn't grow up like anyone else thinking I was going to get into life insurance, but it did land in a conversation at happy hour 5 years ago, and I haven't really looked back since. It's been a great journey so far. A lot of challenges, a lot of road bumps and red lights and yellow lights, but for the most part, there's a lot of green lights too. So it's been a journey, but yeah, I got started about 5 years ago, and I started out really just selling on my own and just doing the best I could to perfect my craft from the start. And so it was just about playing a different level of intensity in the beginning to just kind of get my craft down. And then started out primarily just in the life, well, not primarily, started out just in the life insurance space, and then recently added a couple different verticals, mostly focusing in on the health side, adding in that life piece to the business. But before insurance was just in property management. I worked as a server. I wanted to get into real estate. And when I was introduced to the insurance opportunity at the time, I thought, well, it's probably a lot easier to find, 1,000 people to, that need life insurance, that want to buy life insurance, than it is to find maybe one person who wants to buy or sell a home. So I took a leap of faith and dove in. And like I said, I haven't really looked back. So nothing crazy, but it's been great.
Oh, well, that's impressive, though. I mean, the fact that you hit it so hard from the start, what helped you be motivated with that? Because a lot of people have trouble like finding their direction, finding their purpose, and leading a purpose-filled career in this, which I think is super important. So I don't know if you did, or you're just like, you're like grind time, that's it. What did you do to help stay focused during the that time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it definitely had a lot to do with figuring out, in the beginning I wasn't just consistent from the start, right? I would sell a little bit, and then go hang out with my friends, and maybe sell a lot and then go hang out with my friends or take a trip. So what really kept me focused was sticking around the right people. I always say this, and I won't stop saying it, but you have to get around people who believe in your new story and want to see you win, and you can't stick around the people who believe your old story. I know that we all have our different journeys, the different groups of people we work with throughout life or hang out with, but at the end of the day, you really have to identify the people that are going to lift you up and fill you with energy rather than drain you. And so it was really just identifying those things and actually taking accountability for the areas of my life where, wasn't getting me to where I wanted to be. And so I would always kind of check myself if I felt like I was not performing at my best and giving the best to the relationships around me. That was typically a good indicator I wasn't in the right headspace. And my biggest tip really for myself when I've been in a really low place, whether it's in business or just in life in general, I put positive things in my ears. So I throw on podcasts, I listen to other people who are, going after their dreams and chasing their goals. So some self development, but at the same time, I would listen to things that were, more on a spiritual journey or whatever I could do to keep positive things in my ear. And whenever I would put those headphones in and listen, I wouldn't say that things would disappear, but it would really help me to get in the right headspace and get back on track.
That's awesome. Do you have any in particular that you can think of for books or like certain podcast series that you recommend to new agents?
Yeah, right now, since I did see Ed Milet last year,
Oh, that's
uh,
awesome.
at, yeah, at a convention, And ever since I saw him, he shared a powerful story, had the entire crowd in tears. And I just felt pulled to his podcast. He just so happened to interview one of, right when I started listening to him, he interviewed one of my absolute favorite businesswomen, Jamie Kern, I want to say her name is. She's the one who started It Cosmetics. So he's someone that
Oh, that's so
he's kind of
cool.
like a go-to. Yeah. And I realized, I'm like, I use her makeup. This is crazy. She's become a multi-billionaire in the space, and she
Wild.
started off by just getting told no, no, no. And yeah, so that's someone that I'm pulled towards. I
Ed
would
Milet.
say, I gotta think. But yeah, that Ed Milet is a great one. I'm trying to think right now. I'm drawing a blank. There's one for the ladies. It's called Bliss and Grit. It's definitely the bliss and grit of a human life. It just goes through all the waves of the things that we deal with in life. And that's
Cool.
one of the more spiritual journey podcasts, I guess you could say, I listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are a couple.
Yeah, you got to keep an open mind. You got to learn a bunch of things. I do the same. I don't really listen to music at the gym or in the car anymore. I listen to
Mm.
podcasts and audiobooks. And when I'm doing like, if I have to do like a heavy set, I'll like, put on music, but I try to use all that time for classroom. So you guys, your environment, there's two environments. There's out there and in here. And this one will result in you changing the one out there. So it's important you get this cleaned up first. So once they have that established and they're going through well, I guess before that, like what should someone look for if you were starting out as a new agent? What would you look for in an upline or recruiter or someone like giving you the opportunity, just like when you were at the happy hour 5 years ago? Like if you would go back, right? Not saying that there wasn't an ideal person at the time, but like now knowing if someone's in happy hour today and they're like, whoa, I got this person, what should they look for? Maybe what types of questions should they ask? Well, what should they look for in them first?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times in the beginning, I just want to touch on that because that's such a great question. Uh, a lot of times I think we're looking for whatever it is in that moment that we need the most. So when we first get started in the industry, most of us are looking for someone who can show us how to make money. We're looking for the
Mm,
money. Where's the money?
yeah,
Where's the top comp? You're going to hear that all the time.
yeah.
And you're looking for the things that really aren't going to identify entirely all of what you want, because when you are in this space in the beginning, like anything else that you're going to do at a really high level, and you want to take this all the way through and you want to sell your agency 10 years down the road or your book of business, because that's something that you can do here, you need to look for people, in my opinion, that are going to fit the criteria of what it is that you want out of life, So I'm looking for people who have strong relationships and have maintained strong relationships. That's a big thing. In my journey of being with an independent marketing organization and shifting out, I've realized that when people leave, the relationship dies, and some of those relationships became on a personal level. Where it's like, hey, how are the kids doing? How's everything going? And boop, no more relationship. And so for me, I want to look for someone who has long-standing relationships, who's respected by their team. And the way that you can do that before diving in is to ask if you can shadow the agency for a week. A lot of times when people are looking between agencies, and this has really worked really well for us, is they're man, I don't know, but these guys have the leads. Just so you know, everyone has leads, guys.
Yeah, right.
And most
Everyone
people
will
have
tell you lead.
yeah, yeah. And if they say they don't make money on leads, that's just weird. Because if they sell them, they probably make money. But
Yeah.
the things to look for are not just the top comp type thing, right? It's true transparency in the business, what things are going to look like. You're going to want to listen to the way people explain the opportunity. If it sounds just incredible and you're just going to leave a job where your boss sucks and you're going to go make all this money, but there's no transparency, there's no grit, there's no, this is going to be a long journey, and if you're up for it, like, let's do it.
Hmm.
I think that that's something to look for too, is look for the clues and signs and read between the lines when you're looking at an organization. And a lot of times it is what feels right, and I think that the money is something we all look for in the beginning, and then later on we go, well, I think I can figure out the money part. I want to make sure the people I'm working with are people I enjoy working with, and
Hmm.
that I enjoy talking to every day. Like, are they cool? Do I enjoy talking with them? And you know what I mean? They still need the results. You need
Yeah,
that
for sure.
credibility, but it's someone that you're going to enjoy working with and want to build something together because it is a team aspect.
Yeah, it is for sure. No, that makes that's huge. And um, so really, guys, like track record, how communicated. That's where, like why I am like where I am now. Because the first IMO I was with, awesome, awesome, awesome dude. Like he's a beast. But like where I am now, I just had a better relationship with I had a better relationship with these guys before I even worked with them than I did with the people that I originally started with. So, and if you guys go somewhere, you can always like look somewhere else too. I don't recommend like flip flop into the next shiny object all the time, but like, if you feel like it's really not, if you get like a gut feeling like, hey, this isn't the best thing for me, then I definitely encourage you guys to take a look out there and see what's out there. If you guys find value in this, please subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications and share it on your social media platforms. It will help a lot, and we're providing a lot of value to a lot of agents here. So, yeah, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say, too, like you mentioned, you don't want to have that shiny object syndrome, but if someone is looking for another opportunity and they're looking out there, I think
Hmm.
a lot of the things I had to ask myself is like, am I sacrificing who I am for what other people want? Because at that time, you're losing all of your authenticity, your
Yeah.
creativity. You can drop your self confidence. So I just it's just not worth it to me to be in an environment where I can't be myself. Because a lot of times the edge about you that's different about you that other people go, I don't know. That's actually the part of you that maybe your subconscious or society tells you to put that at bay, right? Like I
Mhm.
had an agent who reached out to me and he's telling me he wants to possibly get started with us. And he said, but I do remember every now and then I would do something or say something and someone would say, hey, don't say that. Brent, don't say that. So I am really trying to get that under control. And I was like, listen, dude, the goofy parts about you are, I'm like, is that the part that you get clients to buy from you? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you don't need to change that.
Then roll with it. Yeah.
There's so many different types of people out there that
Yeah.
it really is the space to get in and be yourself. And yeah, there's times where you have to take your business very seriously and have hard conversations and you're gonna face adversity, but that's just another thing I look for as well, Justin, just kind of piggybacking back on what we were talking about before and qualities and what you need to look for is I want to know people's adversity, what they've gone through and how they've overcome it. I like to know what the challenges are and how you've overcome it.
That's actually one of the only questions I ask people when I interview them. If I personally talk to them, like, hey, what's the hardest thing you've overcome in your life? I have them send me a 60-second video. What's the hardest thing you've overcome in your life, and how'd you do it? And
I
usually,
love that.
yeah, it helps. It's cool. A few of the guys now who are in leadership for me, they had like really good stories. Then it was cool. Like 6 months after I started doing that, I found out Elon Musk like does the same thing. So I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet.
I was just
It's
about to
cool.
say I got that from someone. Yeah.
That's cool.
But it's so true. It's like
Yeah, it
when you
is.
work with people who have been through some things in their life and they're truly on the path to overcoming or they've overcame it, there's a different feel to them.
Mhm.
Like you've been through something and you've overcame it. Now, I'm not talking about people who are going through it in the moment. It might not be their time to get started in something that can be this intense, but people who have overcome it can tell you that they've overcame it and they'll describe it to you in detail, just like.
Yeah, and they're usually more likely. Sorry, my neck. I hurt my neck. They're usually
No, you're good.
like
I could use one too.
act under pressure, right? Because like it's like you can't be frail and like make it in this business. It just doesn't happen. So cool. So next thing here we got here. Yeah, so the
So
warning signs of an organization that maybe people shouldn't join. Like where like if they see things like, yeah, what would you recommend people look out for as like danger,
yeah,
danger?
yeah. Okay, so that's a great question. I'm glad that you asked that because I think a lot of times it's very difficult to find when you're brand new, which organization to go with. You're going to hear a lot of times we have the highest comp, and there's a lot of great marketing out there for certain organizations. But the things that I would look for or I'm sorry, the things that I would look out for is a lot of times the tactic to pull someone in is they'll say, "Hey, we offer the top comp in the industry." Well, there's a lot of organizations that offer the top comp in the industry or the same comp in the industry, but it's just not their only that there's more to their value proposition, and there's a lot of people trying to rewrite over that mass marketing of we've got the top comp out there. So a lot of people are trying to push a different mission. I think really great people in the industry are pushing, look, it's more than the comp here. Obviously, that's going to be a huge part. You're going to want to know that you can make a really great income, and why not make the best?
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, you're going to hear top comp, best leads. Everyone has leads. Everyone, there's all these companies who have the same thing. So things to look out for is just that consistent conversation of we have the best in the industry or the best in the industry. Okay, well, what else is it that you offer? Is there
Yeah.
mentoring? Is there coaching? Is there more to the agency that you're joining than just the same conversation everyone else is having? There needs to be signs that you see, and you're going to need to pick up on those yourself. But basically, the best advice I can give is you got to take the blinders off. And my dad always says, he's like, if it's too good to be true, then it might be, and that could be good advice. I don't know, that could be bad advice, but I think that it's important to ask the right questions when you're joining an organization, and to find out if, hey, if I want to get into the life part of the business, can I get into the health portion as well? What does the training look like on that side? So that way, if you have your life and health insurance license, you can utilize the entire thing.
Hmm.
And you want to make sure that that's something that the organization that you're working with is going to support. Because a lot of times people are pushing one specific mission, but you might be the person who's like, look, I'm really good at gaining referrals. I was in an agency or a business before. I want to work my book of business all the way around. Is this a place I can do that? And if you feel like it's one carrier and one comp and one this, then that might not be the place,
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. If it's like everybody's got high comp, it's like, you can always get like a 0.25% more somewhere else. And it's way more than that. Like, it's like, hey, is your upline, will they, if you reach out to your upline and they like, can't get in touch with you or can't get back to you, then that's not a good sign. If like, you're like, hey, I'm just starting out face to face, can I go on a ride along? And they're like wishy-washy about you following along with them, then, or maybe they can't even refer you to someone that you can ride along with, and that may not be, the best place for you. Even if you're at 200% comp, 200% of zero is zero, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if you can't have anybody show you how to do the deal and work it and be there for support and be able to answer. And the biggest thing I think is questions. Like, it's like group chats. Like, are the group chats very quickly? Did people respond quickly in the group chats? That's huge, because people need answers like right away if they're in a sale. And if that's not really there, or there's no strong lines of communication, that would, for me, would be a warning sign.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just going back to too, the most important thing to do is, I think, or the smartest thing you could do is ask if you can immerse yourself in their community for the next week and just see if it fits
Awesome.
for you. If you shadow an agency for a week, you're probably going to know, okay, whether or not these are your type of people, this is going
Yeah.
to work out. And I have a lot of confidence in our agency, so I'm like, go out there and check out the other ones, and come check out us, and we'll see what you
Yeah.
see at the end.
How could someone get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
You can send me an email. It is Ashli, ASHLI, at safehaven.agency. You can send me an Instagram message, or you can always shoot me a text as well. We can drop that here in the comments so we can make
Yeah.
sure that everyone likes, subscribes, and turns on notifications too.
Right. It should be like a requirement. It's like, I wish you could make a hidden comment, right? To where, hey, until you like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications and share it.
I
So
would
yeah.
pass my phone around at Thanksgiving. Like, you got to do this.
Cool. Okay, next here we have okay, what type of things should new agents expect to have to learn on their own? Like, if you have an agent, what are the type of things that you expect for that? I'll share some things too after. What are some things that you expect agents to do? Because there's like, at some degree, right? It's like, okay, like, that you are an insurance, like you are starting a 1099 thing, so you have to take some sort of level of responsibility. So, um, what what would you expect people to have to learn on their own?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's really not a lot that we have our agents do, I guess, alone, because a lot of it can be in our onboarding program, and also
Hmm.
a lot of it can be call us in the home type thing. But the thing that you've got to do on your own is applications. So if someone's like, "Hey, can you walk me through an e-app?" You can start to go through that. It's going to ask the client's name, phone
Hmm.
number, email address. And then if you have a question throughout the app, you don't know if you need to select something or not, you can call when you're in the home or call when you're with a client. But you've got to go through that. I'm not going to do a demo of an application.
Or do
Just
one
be,
ahead of time, like do
Mhm.
it before, like learn your apps before you go in the field.
Yep. Yeah. And also I want them to order the marketing materials from the carriers
Hmm.
and get a basic understanding of the products. But
Yeah.
I do believe in agents understanding their products. I don't understand why people say don't worry about the products. It's like that doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. You need to be
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. I'm not on board with that. And I don't think our clients would be on board with that if they saw any of those training videos that say don't worry about the product knowledge. Sounds a
Yeah.
little weird. But what but also what I would say is you have to know that the activity is what you have to put in. You have to drive the car, you have to pick up the phone. But once you are out there, it's 100% my responsibility to make sure that you have the support that you need when you're
Hmm.
going out there and you get a yes. We need to figure out why you got a yes and how to get more of those. When you get a no, I need to figure out where exactly the no came in, how deep you were in your presentation, how many times you got hung up on. I want to know that you're tracking your numbers, because when you make 300 dials and 20 people pick up the phone and you book 3 appointments, well, that's 17 people that you missed a shot at booking an appointment with. And what that tells me is it's a script problem or a tonality issue rather than an activity. They put in the
Hmm.
activity, they got 20 people to answer the phone, but they only book three. So it's not necessarily we need to up the dials for that day. Of course, more will lead, to
Hmm.
more booked appointments, sure, but we know that we need to adjust something in the script and the tonality. But it's a lot of like it's the action, um it's picking up the phone and asking for help and reaching out and up and to the right people as well, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's huge. And I agree. Like I was going to say the same thing. Like I have videos on the products. There are agent guides. Like I will every once in a while run a training on the products, but it's not hard to read the agent guide. So like, don't you, I think it's kind of, it's like stuff that you can learn just from reading.
Hmm.
That's not like a skill. Like you don't need a skill to learn the products, right? But you do need a skill to learn sales. So if it's not like a skill based learning thing, then I expect people to do that. So it's like, um, same with the applications. It's like go through, do a practice application, like, and especially for me, like all we sell is final expense here. So it's like every company's is the same. You just have to learn like the names that they give each of their products. So those two things are definitely, in like the technology that people have, I expect people to learn on their own. And I'm not going to teach someone how to use a computer either. So, if they don't know how to use a computer, it's like, hey, like, you should probably take a lesson in Windows or something, and then, you know, um, and then join up. And then the same thing too, like you were saying with the data. So like if you're doing telesales, I know I can look at the data and tell someone exactly what they need to work on. If they have a lot of dials and low talk time, the greeting, either their tonality, their tempo, their rebuttals, or they're not following the script, meaning they're saying a lot. If they have a lot of talk time and no sales, they're not building the need and they're not closing properly, and they're not, presenting in a solution based way, and they're not like hanging in there in the close. So it's like, you can kind of isolate those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like too, I don't know how you feel about this, but if there's an agent right now listening, a lot of times people are looking for knowledge and to, keep the positivity in their ears type thing when they're listening to trainings like
Hmm.
this.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most or one of the best things that you could do if you're one of those people listening in right now is track your next couple of days of your activity
Oh
and
yeah.
call up your mentor, your coach, your upline, whoever, and let them know, hey, look, these are my numbers, and if you want to show proof, even better, you know, and just
Yeah.
say, hey, because we get the fluff too,
Yeah. Right.
uh, and I know because I gave fluff at one point, so I'm not innocent. But hey, I dialed all day. I don't know why I didn't book a ton of appointments. Well, how many dials did you make? A ton. Well, sometimes, 50 feels like 500 to a brand new
Yeah.
agent. So
Yeah, it
if
does.
you're like, hey, Justin, I've got my call log here. I wanted to track every dial because I've just been, in a little bit of a roller coaster this week. I dialed, it looks like 320 times, triple dialed everyone like you told me to do. I reached 20 people and I booked, six of them. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but I did record a couple of my calls. Maybe you could take a listen and see how I can improve. Are you kidding me? If someone does that, we'll give you all the time. We'll talk about products. To us, we
100%.
love the business. So
Yeah.
so it's not hard to, talk about the products and talk about things we want you to learn on your own when you're showing us you're putting in the activity and you're out there grinding, or you're
Hmm.
out there working hard and you're perfecting your craft. But that's the best kind of communication you can give. Here's what I did. I need to figure out where I need to get better. And I figured I could give you a call.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's kind of how it works. Like what we'll do is since we have people who jump on people's calls to help them close their sales, the training's kind of done like while the presentation's there. So they'll hear their coach and mentor like presenting the product and going through it. And yeah, so like it definitely like, people get back what is invested into them. And, don't get me wrong, I don't like completely ignore someone if they're like, oh, I don't understand this product, right? But if it's like, hey, can I learn the products? It's like, okay, did you check out your agent guides and your videos? And if it's like no, then it's like, okay, do that first. And then, if you have any questions, then we'll go from there. But yeah, like that's huge. Like you gotta focus on those things that are ultimately gonna win. Because I mean, if you're not booking appointments, then all that other stuff, I guess, doesn't matter, right? So it's like
Yeah.
you gotta get in there. Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we got next here. Okay, so what would you recommend for a new agent to focus on first? Like they just got in the business and they're like all this stuff because it's a lot. It's pretty overwhelming. You got to learn the products, the applications, your sales process, leads, everything else. So like what would you say the order of operations are for a new agent? What do you encourage new agents to do first?
I I'm always going to encourage the activity first because if you can get on the phones and get through the objections right away, until you get to that point, you're going to be thinking of all the things the client might say and thinking of all the ways this isn't going to work. So without action, you start to build up these limiting beliefs that you didn't even have before when you were studying for your exam or when you were working your other job and you were just about to get started in it. But once the contracts are in front of you, you've got your writing numbers, the best thing that you can do is just take a lot of action in the beginning. That's just what worked for me. Some people
Hmm.
may need that more organizational standpoint. I think from the start, the best thing you can do is just organize yourself and make sure you've got your carrier logins, your writing numbers, everything, so it's not always so difficult to do anything like log into a carrier or check your back office or do these tasks that seem to, if I have to log into 10 things in 30 minutes, which happens all the time, if I didn't have everything all organized and operated,
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm going to lose my mind. So it's just important to organize from the beginning. All that means is just keep everything in one place. Just have your passwords, all your logins, whatever you need in one place and do that from the start. But after that, me personally, study, watch some videos, and then take some action fast. Because, like I said,
Hmm.
I think that the way that I work, and I know a lot of other agents work, is those limiting beliefs start coming in. You start making up what the client might say
Yeah.
rather than just, having it come head on and failing forward. Because in the beginning, you just got to know you're going to suck. You're not going to be good in the beginning, and no one
Exactly.
was good in the beginning. And I tell this story a lot, Justin, but I think it's important for people to know that, I mean, I called and called and called all day long with people in my office. It was like a boiler room setting. And I was dialing all these leads and I finally got someone to pick up my first day. And everyone was around me like, oh, she got an answer. And I'm like, hello? And they're
Hmm.
like, hello? I'm like, hello? And acted like I couldn't hear them and just hung up on them because I was so scared to fail in front of
Yeah.
everyone. And so the best thing you can do is fail in front of people too. So if you don't have an open Zoom room with your team and you don't have, different tools that maybe other agencies have, it's not that you necessarily need it. But if you record them, you can send them to the person that brought you in, your mentor, your coach, like I said, and then ask them what they would do to change it. But I would track your numbers in the very beginning. Best thing you can do, because you would be so surprised if you go out there and you dial 300 people and you make a couple sales. Let's say you deposit let's say $2,400 in your bank account in your first week, which is not unheard of in this industry. It's very, very common. Then you can reverse engineer that, do the math, and figure out how much you made every time you dialed the phone, and figure out how much you made every time someone picked up the phone. Now dialing is a lot more fun. So just figuring out ways to enjoy the process along the way when you suck. Because what's going to keep, what'd you say?
I was saying gamify it. That's all.
Oh, yes, yes. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think successful people are inspired by their fears and failures, and people who don't find success are shut down by their fears and failures. So you gotta welcome mistakes. It's okay. It's good. I've never met someone who's rich who didn't lose money. I've never met someone who's in love who didn't have their heart broken. I never met someone who is, made a good shot in golf who never made a bad shot. So in order for you to get to that point, you have to take action. And I hear it all the time. I just think it's a lack of responsibility and ownership when upline or someone in a recruiting position says, "Oh, these new agents I get are lazy." I don't think people are lazy because you go through the process to get your insurance license, which is hard work. I just think people get scared, and I see that all the time. And so I'll have people on Zoom share their screen, and it's a group of people. Whenever I have my class of new agents, and share their screen, make their calls, they kind of fail in front of everybody, right? So it's like, okay, we're just going to get this out in the air here. We encourage them, and even if they're terrible, I'm like, "Wow, you did awesome!" Like just because they need that,
Yes.
and push through those fears, because like the fear of failure can result in you not taking action, which results in failing anyway. So I would rather have tried and failed than not tried and failed, because you're always going to fail the first time around. Doesn't make you a failure. Any plan will work. You just have to work it, because the first time around it's terrible, and then you analyze it and adjust it, and then you go back in and it's maybe a little better, and then you just do that over and over and over again. Learn from those mistakes, because the faster you can make those mistakes, the better you guys are going to get, the more you're going to make money, the more you're going to be successful, and the more you're going to enjoy this. And it's like they say in AA, like half measures avail us nothing. So it's like you have to go all in. It's more draining to not go all in, because you're not going to experience those failures at a big enough rate. And once you're going all in and you're super committed, working a ton, it doesn't feel like you're working anymore, because the money's coming. You feel good. The success is there. You have that work-life balance I have more work-life balance working 60, 70 hours a week than I do working 30. I can't explain it, but it happens.
Well, it's because you're playing at such higher level of intensity that you're so into your work when you're in your work that you can completely turn it off when you're outside of it. And you've done what you've set out that you said you were going to do,
True.
So,
Not stressing.
I mean, yeah, and also too, I know you, and I know that you're a person who, when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Mm-hmm. It would be very, very weird if we booked this webinar and you didn't show up. I'd literally think you were dead. So I think that that's a big point too, is just doing what you say you're going to do and sticking to it, no matter how crappy the process is along the way. It's just being bold enough to say yes when everyone is telling you no, and I like what you said about fear too, because I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people could probably relate to this. I feared staying where I was at before I was in the industry far more than I feared trying something new and failing at it.
Yeah.
And the more you try something and fail at it over and over and over again, I mean, this isn't rocket science. You're going to figure it out. And it may not be for you. You may figure out it's not for you. But if we're talking about if anybody can go out there and make sales, absolutely. It might not be for you down the road. You might find something else you like. But if we're talking about, can I make sales and can I get to the point where I can sell at a high level? Yes, because it's emotional. It's an emotion-based sale that you just have to get good at communicating. And that's why it's so important to be your authentic self and get in rooms where you are yourself and you're not pretending to be someone else, and kind of finding the edge about you that other people don't have, because there's something in there. You just got to work towards it. And I think on the other side of the fear that you had in the beginning, you start to, fear brings you the love in the business. You find love and purpose for what you're doing, and you actually start to enjoy it. And there's something about working really, really hard at something and failing over and over again and then finding success. You love it like way more than you think you would have, because you overcame something. Sure. you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's awesome. Just like the triumph of overcoming obstacles towards your goals is one of the truest forms of happiness that there is. I mean, it feels really really good. But one thing that was cool too is, I mean, I had a pretty good support system when I started. And what this last one here, what do you recommend to people who may be struggling with a support system? Maybe people at home are telling them that this is, a joke, or that like they're, because I see it all the time. I have agents who just struggle with that support system. So how can people work through that? What would your recommendation be?
Yeah, so for the people at home, because I think a lot of times it's important to talk to the people who are at home and aren't going anywhere, whether it's your spouse or your kids, or maybe you're with your family all the time and you see them all the time. It's just good to set this expectation up front. Let them know, hey, look, I'm really, really, really passionate about winning at this, or passionate about proving to myself that I can do this. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to do it. Here's what my schedule is going to look like for the next month. I'm going to give it my all. All I ask for in return is just your support. Even if maybe you don't agree with this, maybe I failed the businesses before this, but this is really what I want to do. And I need that support from you. Can you give that to me? And I
Cool.
think that's the people in your life that you want around you, is the people, someone who loves you and cares about you isn't going to go, no, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. It doesn't matter how many times my family would fail at something, my sister, my dad, my mom, my boyfriend. It doesn't matter. I would support them 100% if they poured their heart out like that to me. How would I look at them and be like, no, this one isn't for you? I mean, unless it's drugs, I'm like, let's do it,
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have those conversations, and if you hesitate to have them, then that's an indicator of some area of your life that needs work. And that's the hard part about the business. It's not the dialing, it's not the selling, it's the part of the business that exposes all the other parts of your life that need to be worked on. That is the hard part about it.
Yeah, because it's pretty unforgiving with those things. It'll show you pretty quickly, some other areas of your life that could use improvements, and use maybe some more focus or some help. Well, Ashley, appreciate you being on here today. If anybody has any questions for Ashley, please drop them in the comments. And also, I'm going to put her contact information in the description of the video. You guys don't want to miss this next video coming up. You're going to see how Peter sold 84,000 AP, his second month in the business, 100% over the phone. Don't want to miss this one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Justin. Talk soon.